And welcome you watching the Trendy Birdie Question with me, Shavin Sen. Ladies and gentlemen, 6 Pakistani High Court judges have accused the ISI of meddling in judicial matters, employing tactics such as secret surveillance, abduction and torture of family members to sway case outcomes. Now, these instances of alleged intimidation and coercion of judges relate cases involving former Prime Minister Imran Khan. Now, what's important to point out here is that first, you've had Imran Khan's supporters taking on the Pakistani army. Then, after widespread rigging that has essentially taken place during the Pakistan election, has resulted in a situation that there has been palpable anger on the streets of Pakistan. It does appear that Pakistan is crumbling within. And that's the reason why for the first time you're looking at sitting judges taking on the all-powerful, almighty ISI. Take a look at this detailed report. In fact, we're also putting out the details of the letter that has now been accessed by Republic TV.
6 top judges in Pakistan have exposed the ISI. The judges have written a letter to the top court council to look into the allegations against the ISI. They claim that the senior judge of the Islamabad High Court, Shaukat Aziz Siddiqui, was wrongfully removed after he pointed out the involvement of ISI operatives in judicial rulings. The charges leveled are grave, from intimidatory tactics to secret surveillance and even abduction and torture of the family members of the top judges. Instances of alleged intimidation and coercion of judges were pointed out in cases related to jailed former Prime Minister of Pakistan Imran Khan.
In the regular affairs of the High Court, 6 judges of the Islamabad High Court have written to the Supreme Judicial Council that is headed by the Chief Justice of Pakistan, Accuse ISI, and comprising of 2 judges from the Supreme Court and 2 from the High Courts. In the letter to the Chief Justice, they have alleged that the intelligence agency ISI is involving and interfering in the judicial matters.
The letter makes a reference to the abduction of brother-in-law of an Islamabad High Court judge by armed men who claim to be ISI operatives. The ISI and Pakistan's military are yet to issue a response to the letter. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Joining us on the broadcast for us, Saeed from Pakistan and General Dhruv Katoch. For us, this is also unprecedented by Pakistani terms. You have sitting judges, 6 judges exposing the ISI, and this is exactly what we have been saying for years put together. That the problem essentially being that if at all you rely just on the ISI and the Pakistani army, a situation would essentially come up that there will be revolt, there will be internal revolt, and this is just the beginning.
Yes, I mean, ever since the 6 High Court judges, Islamabad High Court judges, have written a letter to the Supreme Court and Supreme Judicial Council, it reminds us of what used to happen back under General Musharraf's era, where grotesque visuals were witnessed of how the then Chief Justice of Pakistan was treated at the hands of the dictator. It is abhorrent. It should be investigated, and that's why the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the Chief Justice held a 1.5 hour long meeting to discuss the terms of preferences.
You seem to be very optimistic. You think, you seem to be very optimistic because you believe that Shehbaz Sharif, the man who has been installed by the Pakistani army and the ISI, would be in a position to even begin any sort of probe. And as I understand, this is the same very judge who had taken on the Sharifs. So are you really suggesting that, and are you really serious about the fact that you believe there would be some sort of an investigation that would have been carried out?
I mean, the only right way is to hold meetings, to establish a commission which would investigate serious and grave, allegations that have been leveled against Pakistan's security agencies by the High Court judges. Because again, there has been a history. Nobody has really spoken up. We saw 2007 lawyers' march, where all these current political parties who are in power right now, which the coalition is under the PDM, were part of those lawyers movement, where lawyers and the judiciary was intimidated by the dictators. And we have to remember that all those agencies who were intimidating the judiciary back then would do so again in the future and currently. Now, I agree that it is a situation of adverse understanding. But what can be done? I mean, are we looking for another lawyers' movement against the government, against the agencies, or are we going to go by books, where a commission would be established, where it would investigate the matters, and if there is some, substantiated proofs that the agencies are involved in intimidating the judges, then of course the Supreme Court will take its course.
General Dhruv Khatoj, Faraz appears to be extremely optimistic of the current situation and hoping that there would be a fair investigation. But look at the details of the letter that has been put out and the allegations that are being leveled here, grave to say the least here, where they're clearly talking about that there has been considerable pressure. Considerable pressure was brought to bear on judges by operatives of the ISI over a case facing Imran Khan. So it's a clear indication, General Dhruv Khatoj, that you have the ISI essentially dictating almost every terms of the functioning of not just the government, it appears also from the judiciary. This was known, but what is astonishing is that today you do have the judges on the brink, willing to risk their own lives in Pakistan and putting this letter out to the Chief Justice of India, and not just that, naming those very officers. So you go a step further and name those very officers of the ISI who have been directly putting pressure on the judiciary.
Thank you, Shaban. I totally agree with you. I think that the situation in Pakistan as far as the judiciary is concerned has reached a breaking point. Now, along with the letter, there were two annexures giving out details of the cases. And some of those cases, besides coercion, it is very simple cases of blackmail also, where through secret cameras, they have recorded the sexual deeds of the judges and their families. And they are using those instruments to blackmail and coerce the judges to give a judgment in their favor. Now, the judiciary being one of the support pillars of the state, when that begins to crumble, I don't see too much hope for Pakistan. Now, importantly, as the panelist from Pakistan has very rightly stated, the movement which took place in 2007 was a very strong movement. It was the lawyers' movement supported by all political parties, which saw Musharraf being eased out of power. Now, I think Pakistan is in for another movement like that. It cannot simply be left to the state or any agency by, Nawaz, the Sharif, Shehbaz Sharif ordering some sort of an inquiry to look into the matter. That is not going to work. There has to be something much more deeper and much more effective to be carried out. Otherwise, this is not going to work. I'm afraid that the problem goes even deeper as far as the politicians are concerned. If this has happened to the judges, I'm quite convinced that every single political party, their leaders and their families would have been compromised in some manner or the other. It's a big world, and it's very easy to sort of compromise people, especially in the bedroom. And if those secret cameras have recorded anything there, then the people who are involved, they would be very chary of anything coming out in the open. So for Pakistan, I think it's going to be a very, very long road ahead. I think the solution does not lie with the executive. The executive is going to fail. I can guarantee you that, because the people who will be in charge in the executive, possibly they may also be under a blackmail threat. So it has to be, I think it has to be left to the lawyers' movement and to the judiciary. The Chief Justice has taken a stand along with the the Judicial Commission, the 5-member Judicial Commission, which includes the Chief Justice, which I think is a very appropriate step. But ultimately, the people of Pakistan and the judiciary or the legal system of Pakistan has to take up cudgels against the state, has to take up cudgels against the ISI. What is required is not so much the judicial act, getting a report on what has happened. It is making systems so that the ISI comes under some level of civilian accountability. If that does not happen, I don't see too much change. Shaman.
No, civilian accountability can only come in, General Dhruv Khatoj, when people like Faraz Saeed would actually admit the fact that, the ISI as well as the Pakistani army's role should have essentially been at the border, not right in Islamabad or in Rawalpindi. The fact of the matter is that, Faraz, how long can you blind yourself by simply saying that, look here, everything seems to be absolutely fine as long as you do not touch what you would say, perhaps the holy cow here?
I started off with admitting the fact that, intelligence agencies in Pakistan have a history. In fact, we out of about 73 to 75 years of Pakistan's independence, majority rule has been taken over by the military. And it is no hidden secret. And as I mentioned earlier, the 2007 movement, Doyle's movement for the independence of judiciary against the intimidation by the then dictator was something of substance. When we talk about the intelligence agencies meddling into the affairs in political realm, I know it is a matter of great offense when we speak as Democrats. And in any kind of democracy, meddling military or military establishments meddling into domestic political affairs is unacceptable and should be unacceptable. Now, this was continued even after 2007. I want to remind you that during Imran Khan's government, around 2018, there were Chief Justices of Pakistan who were in cahoots with the then establishment, who were in cahoots with the then military intelligence agency, willingly writing judgments to appease the people sitting in the power corridors in the establishment. However, now, because there has been a wide difference between within the state, because again, there are people in the country who are supporting Imran Khan, who are supporting the defiance of Imran Khan, and there are people who are supporting, the current establishment. And now, because this 6-judge letter has risen out of nowhere, this is of significant impact because, again, it supports Imran Khan and PTI's very narrative that, it is the establishment which is meddling into their affairs. Because, again, Pakistan has a history. Civilians, when it suits them, they accept their meddling. Civilians, when they are out of the power, they do not accept their meddling, and therefore they move against them. So when we talk about Pakistan and we have a discourse about Pakistan's establishment's involvement, there are majority part of the civilians who are one way or the other supporting the meddling of the of this establishment's meddling into Pakistan's political realm or electioneering. Imran Khan in 2018 won election by the support of military establishment, by the support of judicial establishment, and all of them were in cahoots. Today, if Imran Khan sits out and the current government, if it has won power, it is because all of these powers are in cahoots. The establishment, the intelligence agencies, and this will go on because, again, this is the way Pakistan works. This is the way Pakistan's polity has been working in for the past 75 years. And yes, I do agree that
I don't think so.
Change.
I'm not too sure what really works here right now, but General Dhruv Khatoj, a broader picture of what Pakistan essentially faces today, starting from the attacks that have taken place right now in Gwadar. Then you also have, as far as the CPEC project is concerned, it is now, held back primarily because of the attacks that have taken place. The Chinese appear to be completely upset with what's really happening there. So it's on a complete back foot. Begging before the IMF is not really going to take them any way forward because technically they're basically running out of any funds that they were really expecting.
Shaman, I think this is my personal view. I think the Pakistani political establishment missed a very golden chance in the previous elections. Sorry. They missed a golden chance in the previous elections because that was the time they had to actually stand up to the military. But unfortunately, what happens in Pakistan's polity is that the party which has got a chance to come into power, they actually tie up with the military, with the very same military whom they are criticizing now. And then they get into power, they're quite comfortable till 4 or 5 years later, they have thrown the door because for various reasons. So I don't see any hope as far as the polity is concerned, but they had an opportunity if they had stood up this time. If Shehbaz Sharif and the others had said, no, we will not accept power under these terms, and we will have the military out of political affairs, I think Pakistan could have seen a sea change. There would have been some problems initially, but that was a chance. I don't see that chance coming again in the near future unless another election takes place. But when we are looking at the larger, broader picture, as you mentioned, three aspects as far as Pakistan is concerned. One, their economy is in shambles. We all know it. Number two, the security situation is very, very bad. The CPEC is not going to go anywhere. I had made this statement about 8 to 10 years earlier. There are going to be very serious problems in the CPEC because they cannot handle the security situation. But besides these two, I think the more important one or the more difficult one is really getting the politics in order. Because if the politics is not in order, there is no way in which they can sort out the other two issues. So to sort out those two issues, you require politics. And the way the polity is there with the political parties actually aligning with the military, the very same military which we are talking about in the ISI, I don't see how that is going to happen. So let's face it, Pakistan is in for a long ride. If the people of Pakistan now get together and demand certain action, that has to be a mass agitation. But if that mass agitation again has to be politically led, so who's going to lead it? I think these are the questions which the people of Pakistan need to answer. Otherwise, the country is going downhill. Their own people are saying it's going downhill, and how to stop the buck actually lies not in the hand of the polity now. It lies in the hands of the people of Pakistan. Come on.
For us, the reality is this, as I was pointing out, that while General Dhruv Khatoj, was gracious enough to actually say that there was a golden opportunity missed. But, as I say, that this appears to be a little fairy tale, hope that you would have a person like Shehbaz Sharif who's only trying to protect the legacy of or whatever remaining legacy of Nawaz Sharif and hoping that he's not put behind bars once again. So it was perhaps not even a starter that you would have Shehbaz Sharif really standing up against the Pakistani army. But for us, the reality is also this. Look at it. It's not what happened during Musharraf's time. Things are far more different than Musharraf's time even today, because right now you go through a bigger crisis. One, look at what's happening in Afghanistan. Your relationship with Afghanistan is also in doldrums. Your relationship with India perhaps will also never improve for a very simple reason, because you're still fixated about something that has gone, actually was never yours. And for us, the unfortunate part is that the civilian that you're basically referring to, they too have been radicalized to such an extent where they essentially believe that only if they go on narrating the case story will only they be able to survive in Pakistan. And that's where the problem is, because your priorities seem to be completely, completely lost out.
You're right. There were times when even local civilians used to celebrate whenever a military dictator used to impose a martial law. Even current politicians in the past have been celebrating martial laws because, again, they were the poor beneficiaries, and local populists used to celebrate whenever there was a military takeover. However, things are actually changing because they've actually been contributing or in democracy, and when they see that there's a major setback, that even their votes are not bringing any kind of change in the democracy or bringing any kind of or adding value to their lives and in the current structure of the country, they are somewhat unhappy. And of course, the letter which has been written by the six High Court judges is somewhat a stamp on what people think, and how even the judges of the High Court are ready to stand up against the common practice which has been going on for the past 75 years. Now, that's a big change that I see that is in effect. And of course, if we go into the same direction, I'm sure there's going to be a major change. Now, as far as Pakistan is concerned, it has uncertain borders. It has an uncertain relationship with India, Afghanistan, Iran, China. It has been friendly relationships for over past 75 years because it has supported both economically and politically, and of course socially. And it has one belt, one road going all the way down to the Gabada. The point is, one way I see that why CPEC will not fail, because it is not the Chinese, it is not Pakistan's project, it is a Chinese project, and One Belt One Road is China's project of soft expansionism, and it will not fail because again it is in their interest and Pakistan's interest. Pakistan's interest just aligns with the Chinese interest. Therefore, the success of CPEC is very much fundamental even to the Chinese themselves. Secondly, we also want to highlight, few important statements that have come out from the Pakistani government in the past couple of days. The Foreign Minister of Pakistan, Ishaq Dar, has said, we need to trade with India, and for that we need to settle our territorial disputes. So that could have been, we're taking the hint that the government is ready to sit on the table and sit with India and at least settle or pause Kashmir issue, so at least we can start friendly ties, or at least begin trade and talk something else except for Kashmir or geopolitical issues. So I mean, there is a change, not a radical change, but a slow and steady change that has been witnessed over the past 20 years, and especially this government, which has established a commission to investigate the matters and not just whitewash or just set aside that how the intelligence agencies can.
Faraz, with your back to the wall, you are left with absolutely no choice but to mend your ties. But the fact of the matter is, General Dhruv Khatoj, one last word from you. Can you really expect any sort of change that Faraz is really talking about? Because I don't see that change really coming in. The ceasefire agreement has also been violated by Pakistan multiple times, not once. The fact that you still have the jihadi terror networks operating from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir without, perhaps making any, a single amount, an iota of change has also not taken place.
Very frankly, I don't think any change is going to take place within Pakistan, and there are multiple reasons for it. But I would like to start with the CPEC. Faraz has mentioned that the Chinese want it, so it will succeed. You see, it doesn't really matter what the Chinese want. It is going through Pakistani territory. So if it is going all the way from, from the Karakoram Pass all the way down to Gwadar, that is what the BRI is, as far as the CPEC is, as far as part of the Chinese BRI program. Well, it is going through Pakistani territory, and both Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, all three, Gilgit-Baltistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and the Gwadar portion, as far as Balochistan is concerned, is under terrorist violence. So I don't see, the security forces don't have the capacity or the capability to quell this sort of uprising. So that is going to be a non-starter. CPEC will not work, despite the best intentions of both the countries. As far as the other issues are concerned, you see, unless they sort out the political mess they are in, nothing else will work. And each political party will have to have a change of heart. That means they will have to tell the army, we will not align with you. But to get to the position of power, to get to the post of the prime minister, and to get to the loaves of office, they very conveniently side with the army. And when they are out of it, they will criticize the army. It's not going to work. So even Imran Khan, when he came to power, it was the army which pushed him to power. I mean, he has admitted he has made that statement himself. So it is not something new which I'm saying. So I don't see any change coming out. You also spoke of radicalization. I'm afraid Pakistani society has been radicalized to a very large extent now. Earlier we thought it was just about 5 to 10%. I think it has crossed over 50%. And with that level of radicalization, I really don't see any hope for good relations between the two countries. That is not going to happen. India will not compromise its own internal interest unless Pakistan stops
Well, in
cross-border
fact,
terrorism.
General Dhruv Katoch, right.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, it does appear that they've reached the threshold, and that's the reason why when you see 6 sitting judges writing about the Pakistani ISI, that too to the Chief Justice of Pakistan, it seems that they've reached the threshold. Remains to be seen whether at all, as Faraz has been saying, there will be any change, but that's being extremely optimistic when it comes to Pakistan. That's all that we could have in this edition of Trending Burning Question.